It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff Jarvis is here. So is Matt Cutts. We're going to have a great conversation, including a look at a couple of interesting patents from Google. Plus, during the actual show, we are going to solve a pesky problem plaguing Jeff Jarvis. More alliteration ahead. It's time for Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. It's time for Twit's annual audience survey, and we want to hear from you. Please visit twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. It only takes a few minutes, and your anonymous feedback will help us make Twit even better. We thank you so much for your continued support. Twit.tv/survey. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 295, recorded Wednesday, April 8th, 2015. Bovine avoidance mechanism. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, a show where we cover everything that's not covered on any other show, which is just basically everything we want to talk about. Google, the cloud, Facebook, Twitter, and of course, because of Jeff Jarvis, journalism. He's a professor of journalism at the City University of New York. Hey, Jeff.
Hey.
Blogger at buzzmachine.com, author of many wonderful books. Also joined today by, and we love having him on, Matt Cutts, Googler.
Best in the world.
Longtime Googler.
Hey. Good to see everybody. How are you?
Hey, Matt. We should say Matt does not speak for Google when he's on this show, but we love having him on. He gives us a lot of insight. And I was really disheartened a couple of weeks ago to read that you had left Google. You are on hiatus still, right?
I am. I'm still on leave, yes.
And so this was why it was a little credible, also because it was like 3 days before April Fool's. Some SEO company had announced they'd hired you.
Yes. And they also had a picture of me from some search conference a few years back. So it looked relatively credible.
It was very credible.
Yeah.
Except for one thing. I knew you. I just thought that can't be. No.
Yeah.
That would be like the most massive sellout ever.
Well, and for the first, 5 minutes, I thought it was really funny, and I was just going to let it ride for 3 or 4 days. And even though they didn't talk to me or ask me in advance, I was like, that's pretty well done. But then I got an email from someone pretty high up at Google who was like, this is April, right? And I was like, why don't I go ahead and clarify that just so people don't go stressed out, get a little crazy or something.
It didn't seem possible. Now, we should explain that your job at Google is fighting web spam search results in the spam. But you speak, as this company mentioned, a lot at SEO conferences and so forth. But the idea of you going to work at an SEO, by the way, this my next project, Auto SEO, I loved. We talked about that as well.
Yeah, that was surprisingly enough, about 4,000 people signed up for this April Fool's joke that I did that said, I'm going to, it's a new product. It does all your SEO for you. It handles mobile. It handles social. And here it is over at SEO.ninja, which I had thanks to a friend, Avinash. And so people believed it. And so a few of them signed up because they're like, oh, I want to hear more about the joke. But a lot of people signed up because they're like, yes, I would like all my SEO taken care of for me. Thanks very much.
Well, it was it actually was it subtly fit in with your message at Webmaster Tools, those great videos you make, which is the best SEO is to make the best content. You don't have to do anything.
Absolutely. Our goal is that people never even have to think about this stuff. So it was a little bit of a play on that.
SEO, somebody's saying, what is SEO? SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. And while there is some stuff you can do to make your site more useful, things like having a site map, Google says this is a good thing. It helps them search it. But a lot of it's snake oil stuff. If you get somebody cold calling you or emailing you saying, I can put you #1 in search results, guaranteed, snake oil.
Seriously evil obfuscation. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's too bad because I think there are some serious SEO folks. And you've spoken at SEO conferences, as have I.
Oh yeah, and there are plenty of great white hat SEOs. It's just most of them have plenty of business, so you're not going to get cold emailed by someone who is going to be guaranteed white hat. So you got to check your references, and the people who know their job usually have more than enough business already, so they're not reaching out to you.
I want to also, as long as you're on Matt's blog, which is mattcutts.com, go watch the talk you did at, I think it's your alma mater, right? UNC Chapel Hill?
Yeah, I went to grad school there, so got to go back and talk for about 45 minutes or so about lessons learned from the early days of Google. And it's kind of fun. It's not super technical. It's more like, here's some stuff that I picked up along the way. And
we love that stuff.
It was good talk.
So I didn't realize you were at that little back and forth. And it was not a heated battle I had with Sundar Pichai in the early days of the Chromebook. I didn't realize you were standing there.
So it's great. It's great because Google often has a Christmas party and they'll invite journalists. And
that was the last time I was invited, I just want to say.
Oh no! Well, that's their mistake because it was really good to have you there. And I think at that time only the CR48 had come out, and so it was kind of fair to say, look, what am I going to do with this? Because it was hard to see the potential at that time, and honestly, a lot of that potential hadn't been realized yet. And so it was fun to watch the back and forth where I think Sundar could see what was coming, and you were sort of like, the state of the world is not good enough yet.
Why would you spend that much money and carry around that big a thing to just use a browser? And I think even then I said I could see the value in a company where they want to constrain what their employees do online or on the computer, or a school where you don't want kids playing Minecraft during class. But I have to say, it's very generous of you to defend me, but it is true. I have completely come around, and I love the Pixel. You haven't gotten the new one yet.
I haven't, and I'm really missing the USB-C where you can plug in the power on either side.
That's great.
Two USB ports.
Now I want everybody to put Type-C connectors in everything.
And I finally got my USB-C to HDMI.
Nice. I need to order some
from
of those.
Google. The other great thing is I don't know what Apple's going to charge for these things.
A lot.
I bet you Google's are going to be less.
Apple has an adapter because Apple's MacBook comes out this Friday, and we'll have a single Type-C connector, and they already are selling an $80 dongle, but it has regular USB, HDMI, and then a Type-C for power. But $80. How much was the Google one?
Jeez. Oh, I forget it. I mean, it's on the site. If you go to the
I should buy a
store.
few. And Type-C is Type-C, so that'll work with Apple just as well.
Yeah, I bought an extra power adapter.
Yeah.
That's like half a Chromebook right there.
That's ridiculous, $79.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Although, hey, we should point out the new Pixel starts at $1,000, and if you want to get the ludicrously speedy one,
which I did,
that Jeff has, that's $300 more.
How many people, Matt, at Google, what proportion of the people you work with use Pixels, and what do they really use them for?
That's a good question. So almost everybody uses either Macs or Pixels or Chromebooks. I'd say maybe, I'm just taking a total guess from what I've seen, maybe about a third of the people use Pixels. And a lot of that is if you're a manager, you're just doing email. You're not like doing hardcore coding. Although you can SSH. Leo, I loved where you were talking about doing coding in the web browser. That was very cool. But,
it's coding I now use everywhere, Coding, because well, it's exactly what you want. If you're working in any language for web apps, you want it to be somewhere where you can publish it immediately and try it, and so it's really great. And then you can also SSH to a server. I was starting to set up a server, and somebody tweeted me, "Oh, you should look at coding," and it's great. So that was that and Photoshop were the last bastion of stuff I was doing on desktop computing. And boy, I have to feel like this is really changed. So when I talked to Sundar 5 years ago, this was in the distant future, right?
Yeah, I think you had a very good point whenever you were talking you were like, I don't quite see anyway. And
I wasn't angry. I was just saying, explain to me what's going on. He was great. I came away very impressed with Sundar Pichai, his thoughtful, his intelligence, his thoughtful demeanor, and his calmness in the face of what he might well have perceived as an attack, because that was his baby. It's Chrome OS.
Well, and I love that Sundar, coming from the Chrome world, is really believes in open federated standards.
Yes,
Chrome is just a paragon of how things should work, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. The adapter, Jeff, isn't cheap. It's $40 on
$40. Yeah,
$40. But I'm gonna get. I should get a few because I have a feeling this will be in high demand. The thing about Apple's is you can continue to charge while you're connected to HDMI. So Jeff is actually. Let's do some Chromebook self-help here. Because, Jeff, you're seeing ad pop-ups on your Chromebook?
Yeah, they're little. I tweeted it the other day. I can't find it right now, but it's a nice little box, and it popped up on the lower right of my screen, or just now on your Mac on the upper right of the screen. I closed Chrome, so I know it's Chrome. Major brands like Gap, they pop up. They almost look like a Now box, but they don't pop in the same way. They pop from the right side. And I can't figure out where it's coming from. I figure it's got to be a rogue extension, but I don't have that many extensions.
Yeah.
The most roguish thing I have. That's it. Very good. Yes. Thank you. Oh, boy. Well,
how do you do that, Jason? Oh, that's the tweet.
Yeah. I did this Google search for Jeff Jarvis Twitter.
Yeah.
And then,
that's amazing.
And then
what
find
you could do
Chrome,
on the internet right
and
now.
I found it.
Yeah, him and 37 posts from Mark Andreessen.
That came in from the right, and I clicked on it and it went to the Gap.
But the key is it's not just on your Chromebook; it's on everywhere when you use Chrome.
Yes, so it's obviously something that travels with Chrome. So it's not like the Chromebook itself is besmirched in some way.
So the chat room has given me a tool that might be useful.
Okay.
We said, of course, first look in your extensions, and Matt said that it's engineered so that if something's in an extension, it will show up in extensions. But there's also a Chrome memory redirect about memory. So Chrome / memory - redirect will show you. It's Chrome has a top browser built into it, but this is just a web-based version of this.
What the hell do I do with that? That's what we look at.
Well, you'll see everything that's running in memory.
Yeah.
Including all the extensions. So you can say, what is, you can see if there's a rogue extension running in the background or something.
Yeah, I'm looking now. I don't see anything.
Huh.
Of course, that was on that machine. So it's weird. I just don't, it's just one of those things that's now going to bug you.
Now, if you were using only the Chromebook, you could just do a power wash. It would go away. I think.
Well, actually, no, because it's going to install the same extensions again. Well, it's going to resync.
Yeah, I mean, what you could do is you could try turning off all your extensions and then turn them on
one by one
at a time.
I know the problem is it's such an intermediate.
Intermittent. Yeah.
Intermittent. The ads are very intermittent. I've gotten like 3 in 6 days.
Somebody in the chat room saying it's a Chrome notification from Google Now.
But Google Now is not sending me ads.
That seems strange. But you're seeing this on Twitter, Jeff?
No. He posted it on Twitter.
I posted that as a screenshot on Twitter.
So it's random web pages you're seeing it on, right? It's not any same.
Yes.
Like if you're on our Google Drive, you would see it sometimes, right?
Huh.
Unless you have a tab.
That just popped up on my TweetDeck.
Oh, that could be TweetDeck doing it.
No, I don't have TweetDeck. I don't have TweetDeck running on the Apple right now.
Huh.
That's a good point. It could be, but no. And the thing is, it appears off the screen.
He's saying check your Chrome notification sources. And see, now Chrome has notifications. I don't know where to do that though. Wow.
Gina,
where's Gina? I don't know if Gina could help you here. This is obscure.
Because on the Apple, it didn't appear on the browser. It appeared on the screen all the way over to the far right. I have a 27-inch Samsung monitor here, so it was 2 feet away to the right. When I closed Chrome, both went away. So it was definitely Chrome.
You should look at your privacy settings. You can make sure you have pop-ups turned off, and then look at manage exceptions in there and see if You have allowed pop-ups from a site.
But who would it be? All I have open on the Mac right now is Google stuff.
Yeah. So I think it is a good idea to go to Settings, Privacy, which is in the advanced settings. Click Content Settings. Google hides a lot of interesting stuff in Content Settings.
Well, that was I did yeah. So
and then there's a notification set thing there, and you can manage exceptions. So those would be the sites you said yes to for notifications. You could see who you've allowed. What I would do is clear these all out. Or just say, do not allow any, try that. Do not allow any site to show desktop notifications and see if it goes away. And then you could look at your exceptions. I've never seen that. That's a weird thing.
Yeah, that is strange. I haven't seen that either.
Yeah.
On the bright side, everybody at Google and everybody that watches This Week in Google is going to be
well, that's why we do it.
Yeah.
Shoot, Jarvis is killing our new revenue stream. Damn him.
Oh, it is. You know what? So our chat room has given me a link. Thank you, George, to the rich notification page in the Google developer.chrome.com. And look down here. That is a basic notification you're getting. See, isn't it? That's what it looks like.
Looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've installed something that is using.
Selling it to Gap.
Well,
right? It's somebody who can get an RFP with the agency for the Gap. One would think. Unless, well, I guess no. You know what? It could be an affiliate.
Could be an affiliate because if you take a look at it, up to is one word. So if it's Gap, they missed a big.
I'm telling you, that doesn't look good.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
It does not look good.
Hurry up! The urgency is there. Click on me, please.
You do not want to see those. That is
nobody else is getting this.
Here's another one from our our chat room's good. Superuser.com. How to find Chrome extensions that inject ads into any web page I browse. Wow.
If we could harness the power of the chat room and do like
aren't they great
mining with it or something?
Aren't they great?
They're so good. Yeah.
So this is if you know JavaScript, you can do it. But
I look at my pop-up exceptions. The first one is Saunabad, Berlin.
Yeah.
That Wall Street Journal.
I would look at your extensions really closely and make sure you want the ones you've got.
Pretty much done that.
Okay,
I'll look through it.
In the chat room, I'm going to paste a link, which is actually it shows you where you can manage the exceptions, which sites are allowed to pop notification.
Nice.
And I just went through this process myself, and so I can see I've allowed docs.google, drive.google, play.spotify, and it's a pretty small list. So from there you can go through.
Okay, I'll go to that.
Settings, advanced, privacy, content, which is exactly what we said. In the dialog that appears, you go down to notifications, and you can manage exceptions. It's exactly what we were talking about. And, that's a good thing to know about. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. All right, I'll report back next week.
I love power wash. I power wash all the time. Power washing is the best thing. This guy said on Superuser said it was an extension called Show Hide Passwords. So that
sounds dangerous.
Yeah, I know. That doesn't sound like a good extension. That's one to stay away from. Interesting.
Well, and we sometimes see behavior where a legit Chrome extension will sell out. So people, sign up for this extension when it does something useful, and then after a while, the guy decides to monetize it and he sells it to some.
Oh, okay. So here's a weird one now. So I go to. I'm sorry, man. I go to the content settings, right? And I go to the notifications part. I have clicked on do not allow any site to show desktop notifications. I click on manage exceptions, okay? So then it lists like eBay's there. I can't turn them off. In the other areas.
Oh, yeah. They're just there.
They're just there. Is that true?
There's no delete. Yeah, I think so.
Well, so I can't manage the exceptions.
You can just see what you've accepted. Power wash.
One of them I can do.
Matt knows better than anyone how, what a constant battle this is.
God, yeah.
It's they just overwhelm you, I guess, with constant. Google, in fact, cut Android malware, they say, in half last year, which is interesting. 1% of Android devices had a harmful application installed in 2014. Now, most of those came from third-party stores or side loading. When devices had that box unchecked that said allow third-party sources, it was 0.15%. So the vast majority came from side loading. But there is a long report which Google has put out, a 44-page report talking about all the different kinds of abuse that happens on Android. But they announced last year that they disabled 200 harmful extensions in Chrome that affected about 14 million users. So it's not impossible to get a Chrome extension that, as you point out, Matt, may have started out fine and went rogue because it got sold, or just somebody missed it when they approved it.
Yeah.
Well, as Matt said, now, the 3 or 4 people at Google who watch this are going to say,
I think there will be some very interested people doing some research on that.
Yeah. I was curious.
I have to be aware of myself, because last night I subscribed to a New York Times email newsletter because I want to see it, but I hate email newsletters, so I want to unsubscribe. And so then I click on the unsubscribe, and it takes me to a page and says, you can't do this, you have to sign in. But it says right up there on top, I'm signed in, it's me.
Oh, that's frustrating.
I went back and forth. So of course I've had a little wine, so I go onto Twitter, and of course I have to use the F word. Why can't I unsubscribe from these effing? So then, of course, the problem is today there's like 5 helpful New York Times people trying to say, I'll fix it for you. I'll fix it for you. And I'm not trying to be mean and nasty. I have nothing against the newsletter. I just forget that people actually read these tweets. So, sorry, Leo. I've been interrupting both of you.
Harness the anger carefully. That's for sure.
Yes, one does. One needs to do that. Yes.
It's so funny that I just got a text from my son, who sent me a text thread. He says, is this a sketchy transaction? I'm buying tickets for a concert from a Craigslist dude. And he sent me the text exchange. And, I think it is, actually. I'm saying, maybe you might arrive at the concert and the tickets were already used. There's all sorts of ways you can get. They're all out there, aren't Matt? I was talking to, we had a police officer here the other day, and I said, it must be hard seeing just the worst every day, day in, day out. Does it get that way, Matt? Is that why you're on such a long hiatus? Just seeing this constant stuff?
Well, it's I gotta say, it is weird that, like, you want to say, why can't people just be nice? Why can't everybody just be cool and just, respect everybody else? Let's just not scam each other. And yet somehow something about the internet, or maybe just reality, brings that out. I don't know why, but...
But you're not dejected, depressed, through. What are you doing on this hiatus?
Yeah, yeah, come on, fess up. You're cloning dinosaurs. Is that it? And you giving us the hint?
Yes, here they come. Yeah, no, last night I stayed up late watching a movie next to my wife, and so I slept late this morning.
Isn't that nice?
For a bike ride.
Isn't that a nice feeling? It's
I can't
great.
Complain.
Yeah.
Who said you could live a life?
So, do you have a plan
the nice thing is that,
to go back at some point, or?
Well, the leaves can still go on for a little while longer. So,
it's like a sabbatical
in the next month or so.
Do they do? Does Google have that policy like a sabbatical? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They've had policies like that before. In fact, they talk about the in the rundown. There's the How to Get a Job at Google, and that's about a book called Work Rules by Laszlo Bock. And I have to say, Laszlo is one of the hidden gems at Google because he does such a great job in the people operation side of things. So they try things like, well, let's give a sabbatical. Oh, everybody left after they took the sabbatical. Okay, we'll try something different. Let's subsidize a Prius. See whether that helps retention. And they do a really good job of experimenting with things. So he's written all that up in a book called Work Rules that sort of says, here's our interviewing habits. And there's a lot of people that think we just use brain teasers and puzzles. And so he sort of sets that straight and talks about the sorts of interviews that do well and those sorts of things.
How often do you, when you're working, as opposed to lazing around watching movies late, how often just would you say you end up interviewing people? And how often are the people who end up working for you, or you're part of a process interviewing people for elsewhere?
It's pretty wild because they try to take the attitude that hiring is the most important thing you can do at Google. Because if you can get somebody good, really A+ level on board, then you've done a ton, you've enabled all this extra work that you can do. So they actually have little badges on the internal system where you can say, I've done 150 interviews, or I've done 200 interviews, or something like that. And so everybody is supposed to, not everybody does, but everybody is supposed to chip in so that you get a wide spectrum of people, a lot of different diversity, and interviewing people to figure out what works and what doesn't work.
Who decides who interviews whom?
They don't interview it like I'm the hiring manager and I want to fill a specific role for my specific job usually. Rather, everybody says, look, we need this many people in search quality and this many people in Google X, and then we hire the smartest people that we can, and then we work with those people after they've gone through the hiring committee all the way up to Larry or whatever, where you say, okay, now what are you interested in?
Yeah.
And then so people sort of bid on the candidates who are coming in.
I thought that was kind of interesting because I met somebody, a young woman graduating from Cal with honors, had gotten a job at Google. I said, what are you going to be doing? She said, I don't know yet. She'll find out later when she arrives.
Well, right. And to be fair, I'm sort of a weird exception. Most people don't stay in the same area for 10 or 15 years. Often after 4 or 5 years, or depending on your role, 2 or 3 years, you might switch and try something new and different.
Yeah. Does Larry really review every candidate? Come on. That's a lot of 6,000 people last year. That's 500 a month. That's 25 a day.
He used to in the early days. These days, I'm guessing they send him the data and he maybe does spot checks. I don't know if he really. You'd have to ask him, but he did in the early days.
Yeah, well, that makes sense in the early days, especially when in the early days you're really forming the company culture, and those first 100 or 200 hires, and maybe first 1,000 hires even, are really going to set a tone that's going to continue. It's very hard to change once you've done that. So I think that's the time to be very involved. God, it's got to be unmanageable. Google has 56,000 employees at this point.
But it's a lot easier when
is that right?
The thing about Google is it's like you're running Yale. Everybody wants to work at Google,
right?
So they have the pick of brilliance. They have to weed through a lot. But there have been jobs I've had to hire over the years where I have to go scraping to find somebody willing to do the job at the pay we have, and so on and so forth. It's Google's in a catbird seat in that way.
But it changes all the time. The other stories you hear are, it depends on the stock value and also what the perception of incoming college graduates is as to what's going to be the cool place. And I would bet it's getting harder to get engineers because the really best engineers are just start their own company. At this point, it's so easy to start a company that while I think it's a good idea to at least go to work for a company for a few years and learn some stuff, I think a lot of people coming out of school saying, I got a startup. I'm going to do it myself. Do you wish, Matt, that you had done that coming out of school?
Well, that's kind of what I did, right? Because Google was under 100 people back then.
You went to work for a startup, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. And it's true. Like on one hand, you learn so much in such a short period of time, and on the other hand, you really burn the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
Like late nights, it's hard on your marriage.
Yeah.
You're working weekends, and so you want to think hard about that trade-off.
It's apparently still that way at Apple. We just saw another Apple employee leave a long post about 16-hour days followed by meetings, weekends. The lifestyle today, even though Apple's far from a startup, is just as brutal. But people are willing to do it because they want to work at a company that's making a difference, I'm sure. But you're right, not great for family life.
Yeah.
No. It's the old Disney joke, too. If you don't work on Saturday, don't bother coming in on Sunday.
Okay.
Well, I I remember coming in one weekend and I was like, wait, where'd everybody go? And I realized, oh, we were now at the point where people weren't always working on weekends. That was a distinct culture shift.
Wow.
In the early days, so.
Wow. Google, let's see what else is going on. Appears to be developing a teleconferencing tool. I like this idea. In fact, I don't know. You know, it's really interesting when you see something like Meerkat. The first thought I think many of us had is, gosh, Google could have done this a year ago with Hangouts on Air and Hangouts and just didn't. One of the hot areas, and we have a big advertiser, GoToMeeting, that does teleconferencing. It's a hot area in business. But this is such an obvious thing for Google to do, especially for those of us who use Chromebooks. We'd like Hangouts to be used this way. So apparently Gmeet, this is a post on Google+, or Google Meetings will allow users to schedule and join teleconference calls with one click. You've got Google Voice, you've got Hangouts on it, you've got everything, all the technologies you need. Hangouts would be the base for the functionality. Screenshots, though, also show an Android app and a Chrome extension, which would be very, very good news.
You know what I want to get rid of? Here's what I want to get rid of in conference calls. Number one, Muzak. Number two, 40-digit codes as if they have a gazillion calls every day. Number three, the voice says, we're checking to make sure that your number is valid. When you know it's a computer, it does it in 2 seconds. Why is it taking that long to do it?
Yeah.
And then number four, idiots. If we get rid of those things, conference calls are fine.
This makes sense, though. I mean, if you want people to use Chromebooks, I understand better now that I'm using the Pixel a lot. One of the strategies is to make sure you can do everything in HTML5 and in a browser.
Yeah.
And that's basically what Hangouts are. WebM and WebRTC and all of that makes sure that you can do a lot of this stuff now in the browser on Chrome OS.
Leo, what's the Matt's in on Hangouts, as I was for a long time as a loyal user. Now, Matt, I don't know if you know, but they sent me a Mac. I feel dirty, but I'm using a Mac.
Twit had to buy him a Mac because we wanted him to use Skype.
Skype. What's the technical difference between, what's the technological base between Skype and Hangouts? That Skype does have good quality.
The biggest difference is Skype uses a proprietary codec. And that's been tuned over many years, and I think in most cases Skype's proprietary technology does a better job than the open technologies. Hangouts uses video, VIDYO, which is something that we tried. You may remember we tried it.
Right. I remember that.
And then many of the other tools use is it Silk, Slick, and Brick. These are open source codecs, and they're just, in my opinion, they're just not as robust, not as good. Skype has been so highly tweaked to handle adverse environments, and yet when you throw enough bandwidth at it to give you amazing results, all you have to do is look at Alex Lindsay on Skype, and you'll see what Skype's capable of, which is essentially broadcast quality. If we give them the right camera and sufficient bandwidth, a computer that's powerful enough is not bogged down doing other things. But at the same time, Skype handles, I think, adverse situations pretty well as well.
Is it still built on some version of a peer-to-peer structure?
No, Microsoft acquired them. Well, not long gone, but a couple of years ago, Microsoft bought Skype, and the first thing they did was shut down the super peers and all of that stuff, the super nodes that Skype was using. So it's no longer peer-to-peer, yeah. But Microsoft has servers galore, right? We are constantly looking at alternatives. Because, and I would love to use, I want WebRTC to take off.
Yeah.
Because that would be so much easier. And I would bet that this Google Meetings thing would be very much like that. You could, with WebRTC, you can give somebody a URL and say, click this, that's it. You're in.
Right. Right.
That's awesome.
No numbers.
No numbers. And WebRTC allows you to skin it. So you can write your own WebRTC. We could have a Twit client. I mean, there's so many reasons.
Add chat to the side of it and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah, you can do anything you want, yeah. I'm sorry to force you to use a proprietary solution because I'm in favor of open
ashamed
solutions.
of myself every week.
Yeah, but I have to say we have to prioritize quality. I'm sorry.
I know.
Well, and it sounds... It sounds like Hangouts, some can work with it, WebRTC, but as you switch towards VP8 and VP9, You know, those. I think YouTube just announced that they're starting to look at VP9.
Yeah.
And so over time,
25 billion hours served.
We'll get hardware support, and
I think it'll get better.
Yeah.
There's no reason that's. I mean, I doubt that Skype's doing anything that can't be done as well as, if not better, by others, including open source, especially with Google's help. VP9 gives you up to 4K quality using a lot less bandwidth. And see, part of the problem is there is good technology like H.264 out there, but it's owned by companies. And there are limits as to what you can do. We're even, Skype has, certain restrictions that we worry about a lot, but so I would very much like an open solution. I think we're using Skype in ways we're not supposed to. I don't want to talk about that too much.
Seems like it's got it.
Oh.
There is a Skype TX for broadcast.
It seems like it's, just getting better and better.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's getting better and better. So
here's a good this is from YouTube's engineering team comparing H.264 and VP9 with a 600 kilobit connection, which is a pretty low quality connection. That's H.264. This is a Janelle Monáe video. VP9 is a lot better than H.264. And if you look at the split, the one on the left is the high quality. It's better for sure. It's still not perfect, but 600 kilobits is pretty low quality. Percent of low definition watch time. Low definition is 240p. When's the last time you watched a 240p video on YouTube? It looks so horrible. So bad. And then, of course, VP9 will give you 4K, as I mentioned. Chrome has it. So part of the issue is, and this was a big debate, still is, I guess, a raging debate in HTML5. HTML5 doesn't really have a, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it has a standard codec yet. So the debate is what should happen when you have a video tag?
Oh, good question. Yeah, I'm not sure.
You know who would know is Kevin Marks. He's probably foaming at the mouth right now. I want to talk. We use FFmpeg, and FFmpeg does support VP9, so we could do it if we wanted to. We put out our stuff as MPEG-4, and I think that looks the best right now still. Let's see. Oh, we talked about it on Security Now. Big story. Google had a little run-in with China NIC, the China Internet Network Information Center. That's the certificate authority that does certificates out of China. And, so just a little background. If you're not a Security Now listener, this might be a little more complicated, but a little background. In order to preserve the chain of trust when you use a secure website, the certificate issued by the secured website has to originate from a certificate authority that is recognized by the browser you're using. So all internet browsers come with a collection of certificate authorities. Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera, Google's Chrome, all pretty much use the same batch, I think. It's not part of the operating system. It's part of the browser. But a short while ago, Google, which has a lot of instrumentation on the internet, as you might imagine, noted that somebody had issued a certificate for Google inappropriately. They tracked it back to China NIC. And what China NIC had done is issued a certificate that allowed the holder to make other certificates. The certificate was issued to a company that promised only to make certificates for its own, internal use. But apparently these wildcard certificates were somehow released into the world, and this Egypt-based MCS Holdings, which is an intermediate CA, was basically allowing man-in-the-middle attacks. So at Google, Adam Langley over at Google, who's the guy for all of this stuff, investigated and Google has decided to eliminate China NIC from its pool of trusted certificate authorities. That's a big deal.
And Firefox is doing it too.
Yep.
And it used to be the case. I would really be paying a lot of attention to this and really stressed out, and now I can read it about it with enough distance to find it kind of hilarious. But I loved the quote from Mozilla where they basically said the behavior in issuing an unconstrained intermediate certificate to a company with no documented PKI practices and with no oversight of how the private key was stored or controlled was an egregious practice. So they're just like, okay, this qualifies as egregious practice. We're going to drop CNNIC. So
yeah, this is absolutely the way to do it.
I don't normally read people saying stuff like that.
Yeah. China NIC has responded, the decision that Google has made is unacceptable and unintelligible to CNNIC. Meanwhile, CNNIC sincerely urged that Google would take users' rights and interests into full consideration. I think Google did. For the users that CNNIC has already issued the certificates to, we guarantee that your lawful rights and interests will not be affected. Well, that's not exactly true, because if you go to a site with a CA authority that goes up the chain to CNNIC, you will not be able to visit that site in Firefox or Chrome once those are updated. Microsoft says we're still investigating. No word from the other browser manufacturers, Opera and Safari. But I imagine they'll do the same. That's a big problem. And Chrome is, by the way, the #1 browser in China. 52% market share, 23% for Internet Explorer. So it's a big deal in China if all of a sudden the #1 browser doesn't recognize any CNNIC authority.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, if you're a CNNIC certificate holder, that's a big deal for you.
Yep.
What does CNNIC
But I love that you can do this thing called public. It sounds like they'll need to put better controls in place. But I love that Chrome uses something called public key pinning, which basically is able to spot whenever somebody tries to do a man-in-the-middle attack without the proper authorization.
And Steve explains how that worked and all of that, and it is great because Google does not knows almost immediately when this man-in-the-middle stuff starts to happen. It said, wait a minute, this is not our certificate, even though it says it is.
Yeah.
Google's in talk with mobile operators still. Where is this Google Wireless that we keep hearing about? This new wireless company.
Oh, I can't wait.
I know. Well, I'll have to go back to the Nexus 6.
I'm fantasizing that we all get Sims at I/O.
Oh, you think they'll wait till June or when is it I/O? End of May, right?
End of May.
Yeah.
Because the latest is that they're doing deals with foreign international companies as well, which would just be wonderful.
So you'll also get cheap international calls and be able to use your phone abroad at no extra cost. That would transform the industry.
Yep.
Huge. So no word yet about this.
I popped my SIM card out. Yeah. I was terrified. So something like this would be really neat.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we use T-Mobile, and so you get 2G free everywhere, but there's always, phone calls are still very expensive. There's nervousness going on.
But again, it's a case where the business doesn't operate properly, and as with Google Fiber, and as with phones,
I love it.
And Android, they can just show the way and just put screws to them. Just for once, think for the customer.
Yeah. Say goodbye to Google Moderator shutting down July 31st. Do you know people that used it? This was a kind of a cool idea.
It's like that old, I think I've said this in the show before, it was that old Nick game show question, is it dead or Canadian? I had no idea Moderator was still alive. It must be a Canadian app. I don't know.
During the election, actually after the election, the Obama transition team used Moderator to get input. I don't know. I have some ad covering up this VentureBeat article. Go away, ad. Wow. That's good. It's an ad for VentureBeat, preventing me from reading VentureBeat. This is worse than a paywall.
It is.
They took questions from the public. The first series ran for 48 hours, got 1 million votes from 20,000 people on 10,000 questions. That's the power of Google Moderator. But I guess, we should have used it for some things, but we never did. It allowed users submitted questions, suggestions, and ideas. You could then rank them and take feedback from a large number of people, not only on their own questions, but on others' questions. It was a good idea. But I guess not enough people used it. If you were using Google Moderator, you can't get your data from Google Takeout, of course. And you can continue to try using Google Moderator right up to July 30th. June 30th, sorry. And then they're going to have a month of read-only. And then they're going to shut it down. Do people at Google sometimes go, kind of cringe when stuff's shut down? I think everybody understands stuff has to be shut down, but it's always a little painful for some people.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a cringe reaction because sometimes we actually use Moderator for our weekly TGIF kind of meeting so that people can grill the founders. And I've used it for, webmaster videos. People can vote up the questions that they want to hear. Oh. But yeah, you do have to kind of earn your pixels. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But it does make sense, and I think it's been around long enough that people are like, okay, nobody's like super crazy attached to it, and they understand it's got to earn its usage, and so there's probably other tools that you can use at this point. So
I didn't see this post, but according to QZ, Eric Schmidt posted in January on Project Syndicate the story of how Google image search was created. He writes, our founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, like all other successful inventors, kept iterating. They started with images. After all, people wanted more than just text. This first became apparent after the 2000 Grammy Awards, when Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo, wore a green dress that, well, caught the world's attention. At the time, it was the most popular search query we'd ever seen. But remember, they don't have image search yet. No surefire way of getting users exactly what they wanted, which was a picture of J-Lo in the dress. So Google Image Search was born. At the time of its launch in 2001, the site offered 250 million images. By 2010, 10 billion images. And, of course, QZ, knowing the value of this, has made sure that that picture and many more of J-Lo are right there on its front page. J-Lo knows how to get attention, and Google knows how to help you find it. Wow. I think, is that going to make this show not safe for work?
No.
No.
But you imagine that moment. I mean, that's the kind of great Google moonshot thing. Oh crap, we don't search for images. Let's go build it.
Right. And it,
sorry,
it has.
Sorry, Matt.
Yeah.
Matt's a little late.
No, it's true. I mean, we want to help people find what they want to find.
Right. Even if it's J-Lo's dress.
Yep. Sorry about the lag.
That's okay.
No, just sorry to be interrupting, but it's unintentional.
We have to learn to be patient.
Yes. Oh, I can't do that.
Google has a patent for a cow avoidance mechanism in their self-driving cars. This is the patent that actually involves a diagram of bovines, both full-grown and calves, and a car. The cow.
I have this vision that some Googlers get patents just for the.
You think this is just for the lulls?
Yeah.
Cow avoidance patent.
And then the damn patent office could actually patent that.
Actually, when we were in Hawaii driving the Hana Highway, there was a bull occupying the road and very leisurely pace walking down the road. And as much as we'd beep or yell, he just, he led us down the road at about a mile an hour. So cow avoidance can be an issue in some circumstances. The trick is to develop a system that can tell when you're stuck behind an immovable object or when you're just in bad traffic or in a parking lot. So you need to detect not only that there's a an obstacle in the road, but how long it's been there. How long you've been there, too. This is from Popular Science.
I guess maybe it gets a heartbeat from it or body temperature.
Oh, you know, you could. I don't know. Do they have a UV sensor? They probably do. You should.
You know, I read the story about the other car that made it all the way across the country. And of course, you'll appreciate this. I freaked out because I said, uh-oh, we're going onto a bridge in Philadelphia. It's all metal. That confuses the car. I'm thinking, no!
I thought that was funny. I didn't think of you, though. But that was the only kind of scary moment in this self-driving car that went all across the United States. It was from a company that does car accessories. But of course they had, as with most of the Google cars, there it is. Is that it? Yep. Once we get past the takeover, what's the name of it?
Delphi.
Delphi. That's right. And they did. There were a few moments, but for the most part, the car went the whole way on regular roads. These cars are getting so good. I feel like we're close. And as you say, the most difficult or most scary thing for the engineers was this metal bridge, because they knew that the metal would likely throw the radar. Didn't, though. They just hovered their hands over the wheel. That's pretty cool. How many miles did they? It was an Audi Q5 that was modified. What's cool is it looks pretty normal. Most of the LiDAR and the radar and the self-driving sensors were hidden behind plastic panels in the car. Went 3,400 miles, 99% of the time in autonomous mode, 9 days, 15 states. The team collected 3 terabytes of data during the drive. I think it's great that it's not just Google that's doing this. I think you want this is when you get critical mass. And I'm sure people are sharing. I hope people are sharing their information and so forth. Of course, Audi did this. They drove from San Francisco to CES. Mercedes has done this as well.
Now, the thing I wondered was, I didn't think that self-driving cars were legal in all those states.
I think they're increasingly legal for research purposes. But I bet you that's why it took them 9 days.
They said they took the southern route because of snow.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's pretty cool. I think we might see them in our lifetime, Jeff.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
I think Matt will be driving one home before you know it. They're going to say, hey, Cuts, if we send you a self-driving car, will you come back to work?
Are you bored yet, Matt?
Happy to meet any self-driving cars they have. I'm not bored yet.
No, good.
It's been nice spending time with my wife. So,
you know what I played with the other day, and we really enjoyed it. We had the whole team doing it. I should show you our.
Those are great pictures. Yeah,
our Google Plus story. We got Segways, which I know sound like old hat. They're still kind of mind-boggling technology, and we had so much fun doing them. Let me see if I can find you the. No, it was not an Auto Awesome. It was a story of our trip through San Francisco's streets on Segways. There's Father Robert, Brian.
Oh, wow.
Well, this is why Segways didn't take off. Let's face it, you look like a dork. But it was so fun that I have to say, I feel like, by the way, this is completely automated, this Google story. They did such a good job. We had, I think, 6 Segways. There's our producer, Karsten Bondi. It was so much fun. This was actually cool because I was able to get a Segway makes an excellent dolly for video shots.
Right.
Look how smooth the. I was just holding a camera phone. But you can. It's really kind of fun. Wait a minute. We detected your video can be enhanced, so we're gonna fix this video. Thank you, Google. Thank you. They are really fun. And then Robert, of course, is the quad father. So he brought his drones and flew them probably illegally.
Illegally, probably, but
near that thing you hate so much that I won't use the B word.
My palms were sweating.
No. You look at the Golden Gate. Oh, and there's birds saying, mine. I love that. Google even made it black and white, so that's cool. I should share this. But this was so much fun. And you know what's interesting? Once you ride these, you realize that it's hard not to personify these. I bet this is the same thing with autonomous vehicles. You start to feel like you're riding a horse or something, and it kind of is after half an hour on a Segway, you really feel like you just think where you want to go and you go there. It completely becomes internalized. I'm this close to buying one. Talk me out of it, Jeff.
Oh God, no, Leo, no. You're gonna drive it back and forth from home to work, which does sound practical, but you're gonna feel like such a geek.
You know who looked like a geek? Mike Elgin, because he's wearing a suit on a Segway with Google Glass.
That's beyond.
That's the height. Tourists were taking pictures of him. See, it's true. They do this in San Francisco.
He must work for Google.
He must be a Googler.
So I like the other patent there, Leo.
This is the
first one.
Spoiler avoidance.
Yes.
We need to patent that because apparently it's the worst thing we can do to spoil TV shows for our audience. Spoilers on social media. This is also from QZ. This is an April Fool's joke. Can't be real.
April 7th.
I hate April Fools.
Well, the thing about it is there is some logic to it, right? Viewing progress. So if it knows where you are and watching a show, it can then help you avoid spoilers, which only gives Google yet more data about you. Aha, Mr. Jarvis, we know you're 3 seasons into The Good Wife.
A method comprising receiving activity data describing the activity performed by a first user, determining a first progress stage for subject associated with the activity based at least in part on the activity data. Oh, my God.
Right? This must be torture.
They have people to do that.
I know.
This
That's what I'm
is
saying.
long. Holy cow. Look at this. This is the patent application. Where's the figures? I guess we got, here's the images.
Yeah, I want a little stick figure jumping up and down saying, no, you spoiled it.
Does Google have a Pittsburgh office? These 2 guys are in Pittsburgh.
I think we do have a Pittsburgh office.
All right. Content may include so the idea would be the message comes up on Google Plus or whatever, but is hidden or truncated, and then there's a pop-up that says content may include a spoiler. Do you want to read it now? And then you can click to show the full message. That's wild. Can you do it to podcasts, though?
I could use that on. I had a Google Now card. I was watching the NCAA.
Yes.
And I'm a Kentucky fan, which it learned. And so it was helpfully showing me the scores live for the Kentucky game, and I was trying don't look at my phone because it'll tell me who's winning. And so I could use a spoiler, avoidance just for my own phone. So
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So we know what Andy Rubin's doing after his hiatus. He's I guess he's left Google. He left Android and then was working for the Google X folks, right? We thought maybe doing robots. Turns out he's become an investor. He's launched a incubator called, I guess it's an incubator called Playground Global, and it's to provide support advice to tech startups, particularly making hardware. That is actually a great area because it's well known how to do software startups, but a hardware startup is an entirely different collection of challenges, including having to go to China and all that. Of course, Andy Rubin, before he was at Google, did Danger and the Sidekick, and has certainly a lot of experience working in hardware. So
he gives advice for equity, which makes perfect sense to me. The only thing I don't understand here is why he then needed to raise $48 million.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, I understand why I'd love to invest in it. I'd love to have a piece of Andy Rubin.
It sounds like some of the investors were strategic. So Foxconn, it sounds like, is one of the investors, and that's also a company that does a lot of manufacturing. So there might be some synergy going on.
Right.
So
HP, Google, Honhai Precision Industry, all investing. And Redpoint, of course, which is a venture capital firm that's has a past history of investing in Andy Rubin. Tencent Holdings, Seagate. Interesting. I liked the idea that he was going to go work on robots. But maybe he'll still get to work on robots. He says, his quote is, I will have...
I thought the other interesting story about...
This lag is killing us. I'm sorry.
The other...
Just once you start talking, just keep going.
The other interesting story about a Google... Okay, I will do. The other interesting story I thought about a Google alumna. I'll just say them all, and then we can.
Alumna is the correct.
Is Stephanie Hannon, who it sounds like. Yes, so alumna because it's one female person. So Stephanie Hannon is sounds like, according to the Washington Post, going to leave Google.org to work for Hillary Clinton as her CTO, kind of like Harper Reid did for Obama. And I have to say, Stephanie is a fantastic Googler. She'll be really missed, or I don't know if she's going on leave maybe, but she's helped with everything from like helping you find your voting location to, Google.org does stuff like Ebola 1 boxes and all these really useful, interesting things. And so I'm really excited to see what she does over at the Clinton campaign.
The Washington Post says Stephanie Hannon is Google's Director of Product Management for Civic Innovation and Social Impact. She will serve on the senior staff for Clinton's campaign and oversee a team of engineers and developers, which could include outside consultants to devise websites, apps, and other tools for this former Secretary of State and her staff to engage with supporters and voters. Yeah, Harper Reid did so much good for President Obama in the campaign. This is now something you cannot do without.
Yeah, and I love that there's Googlers who are civic-minded and are interested in government, and so there's a well of people like Mikey D who went to help with healthcare.gov.
Right.
And so, you can imagine going off from Google and doing, startups or investing, but I like that there's this new path opening up if you want to help with U.S. Digital Service or 18F or government service in general, because there's a lot of good things that could be done there.
Well, we need it.
Yep.
We desperately need it. Let's see. Have we a couple of? We don't have a changelog per se, but a couple of features. Google Calendar 5.2, which isn't yet on the Google Store. You can do a side load. Brings back the month view on phones. Apparently, people really missed it.
I missed it.
Did you?
Yeah. Even though everything is so condensed,
so
and
tiny,
compact, and everything,
it's
still useful to be able to glance at and go, "That's the layout." I don't know. I found myself wanting it many times. I'm happy to have it back.
I just pretty much always use the agenda, the list, because anything else, I just can't see it on a small screen. Anyway, the angle here, the article, I'm sorry, here from Android Police has an APK that you could download. I would wait.
There it is.
Oh, he couldn't wait. Could
No, I can't wait.
Well,
I saw
you have
month
some
view.
space.
I saw month view, and I was like, sold.
Wow.
But yeah, so it's all jam packed in there, but it's still usable. Yeah. I mean, I totally find this useful.
I use it. I use it to kind of look at to find out what day April 23rd is, things like that. I guess. Well, you can get it if you want. Android Police has the link. Although, if I were you, I'd wait for the update. And Google Vault. Now, what are you laughing at? What is? I don't even know what Google App Vault is.
In general, it's a good rule of thumb to. Yeah. Huh. Oh, that might be the archiving. For enterprise to make sure that you save things for legal discovery.
Ah.
Later, so
they should call it your sock vault, your socks vault. Now covers Hangouts for Work chat. So you can keep your organization's chat history in the vault, and when the feds come calling, you'll have a copy of it. That's something only Enterprise cares about. Android Wear now has more than 1,000 different watch faces. Boy, as the Apple Watch comes out on Friday, there's, of course, a lot of attention on Apple. But I got to say, Android Wear has such an amazing ecosystem that, you know, I really love my Moto 360, and it's going to be tough for me to give up my Android phone and my Moto 360 because I'm going to have to, starting on the 24th of this month, do a watch.
When can you order?
I can order Friday at midnight. Pacific.
And do you really believe they'll get rid of the lines?
You know, that's one of the things. We talked about this yesterday on MacBreak Weekly. Angela Ahrendts, the new president of retail, head of retail at Apple, has decided, and I think rightly so, to encourage staff, all the folks at the Apple Store, to tell their customers, don't try to buy it here. Order online. We'll get it to you. The lines are great marketing for Apple, but they've, and we talked about this yesterday, they've really become kind of not a great experience. Yeah. There have been fights in Apple stores. The lines are filled with homeless people and riffraff. I hate the riffraff, the lines. People who are not Apple fans but are being paid to buy stuff, or to at least hold a place in line, or to buy stuff to ship overseas. And so it's just not the wonderful experience it used to be. I think the employees loved it because it was exciting. You applaud. There's a countdown. Blah blah blah.
Overtime.
Yeah, they work all night. But the experience of buying the watch is going to be so very different, I think. You have to make 15-minute appointments. They have a special table. You cannot touch the watches. They're under glass. They're sealed.
Oh,
and unless you have an appointment with an Apple employee who has then this card, they can swipe the table and a magic drawer appears and they pull the watches out and they stand there watching you while you try them on and help advise you and urge you to upgrade your iPhone. I think that this is a very different experience. And so they're telling people, Angela says, this is a new mindset for us. Because remember, it wasn't so long ago, maybe less than a year ago, that Tim Cook said, we want to get people back in the Apple stores buying their phones. They didn't like it that the phones were being sold by the cell phone companies and not in the Apple store. But now I think they're backing off. But look at this. This is, I love this. This is an Android mosaic with 1,000 Android Wear faces. Most of them horrible, let's face it.
What's your face now?
I use a program called Facer. Android program. It's in the store called Facer. And then there are big repositories of Facer. You can make your own, of course, but then people have made their own and they've uploaded them to the Facer repos. And so there's some beautiful, I think, really nice watch faces. You can now, in your watches, and Apple's going to do this, of course, much more elegantly. Well, Apple's going to do two typically Apple-y things. First of all, only Apple can make watch faces for the Apple Watch. And two, they have a very elegant way of adding what they call features to the watch. They call them complications to the watch face. So you pick a watch face, and then you spin the knob, and it adds different complications to different parts of the watch face and all of that stuff. So you will be able to create a custom watch face. You won't have this variety of bands either.
The bands are nice. They have some nice new bands.
Lots of nice new bands. Of course, you'll have to buy your band from Apple, at least for the time being. Well, that's what Google's all about, choice. Android's all about choice. Apple's all about a curated experience.
Matt, what do you wear?
Oh my goodness. I wear, for the most part, a $30 Timex watch, but I'm still holding out hope for Android Wear. So I'm not young enough that I don't wear a watch, but I'm holding out to see what's going to be the best watch for me. So,
yeah. Let's look at it. I think we can go to the picks of the week here in just a second. Turkish government blocking Twitter, Facebook, and Google over photos of an assassinated prosecutor.
What I love about that story is that as soon as they block Twitter users in Turkey know how to get around now. Right. And so they make, something like blocked in Turkey, the trending hashtag.
Google last Christmas, or maybe it was 2 Christmases ago, suffered a split. In the past, Google has teamed up with NORAD to do the Santa tracker every year. Because NORAD's got those early warning radar stations all over the world, and so they can see as Santa approaches each region of the world. NORAD started doing its own tracker. Google has the Santa Tracker, which actually is a fun website. And in fact, there's a Santa Tracker watch face. So, but they've decided to open source it.
So, I'm waiting for porn to come on that one. I'm not so sure.
So it's on GitHub, Google/Santa Tracker Web, and Google/Santa Tracker Android. So you know what? If nothing else, this is a great opportunity to look at the source code and see how Google does an Android app and a web app. I think that's super cool, and of course you can customize it. That is nice when a company does something like that. Just says, you know, we're going to put the source out. Very rare. I think partly because programmers realize how ugly their source code is and they don't want to clean it up. But the Santa Tracker on the web was built using a library from the Chrome team called Polymer. You may remember that from Google I/O. I think they talked about it last year. So it's in a way, it's an ad for Google development technologies. And the Santa Tracker for Android, I said using Polymer? No, I don't know. And they have all these cool components and stuff. So it's actually really a good idea to open source this, put it on GitHub, and let people download it and look at it. And the software engineer in charge, Ankur Kotwal, says he hopes developers are inspired to make their own magical experiences. What else could you do?
You could have an Easter Bunny tracker.
Yeah. Exactly. Did you do the Easter egg hunt and all of that?
No.
No. No.
No.
You know you're getting old when you buy yourself your own candy for Easter.
That's sad. That's sad. All right, let's take a break. No, we don't need a break. We're going to go right through.
Fine.
I see, wait a minute. Jason Howell is pulling the microphone.
I was just going to confirm. There is no break.
No break.
The show goes on.
The show goes on with our traditional tool number. And, Matt, I'll let you do a thing of the week. Let me just show you my new tool. You're going to be a little jealous. The Galaxy S6 from Samsung came yesterday, and I'm kind of liking it. This is the Edge. This is the one with the curvy edges on both sides. They've somehow figured out how to take a screen, because this is all one screen, and just bend it around. And, in fact, the screen does go around the edge. You can see the edges. They use the Edge not as much as they did. Oh, by the way, one of the things I really like, they've got a fingerprint reader that doesn't require a swipe. It's very much like the Apple fingerprint reader, and it works really well. It's very fast and snappy. It's got Samsung's own Exynos 8-core processor in it. But one of the and by the way, that means they've got a glass back, and that means no removable battery anymore, no SD card. But it does come in big memory variants. There's a 128 gig version. I got the 64. The 64 gigs is enough for me. People are raving about the camera, and I have to say, so far, and I've only had it a day, I've been getting great pictures. I'm not sure about battery life, though. I'm a little worried. What I've been told is that Samsung is using, it's an 8-core, but it's really effectively dual quad-core processors, one running at a slower clock rate, one at a faster. Unless you need it, it doesn't kick in that second processor. But if it does kick it in, this is going to get hot, and it does get hot. When I was downloading all the stuff to set it up, it started getting not burning hot, but pretty warm, and it just clobbers battery life.
Ooh.
And I'm a little nervous about battery life, but again, I haven't had it long enough to know. You know, it's one of those things that's so beautiful that you play with it a lot at first.
How's the Samsung Cruft?
It's cruftable. It's crufty. In fact, let me change the it's crufted. Definitely heavily crufted.
Cruftalicious.
Cruftalicious. Let me change the home. I use a Nova launcher, which I really like. Where do I change that? Oh, there it is. Applications. Let me change the home launcher to TouchWiz, which is, of course, Samsung's own launcher, and show you. It's I don't know that woman. She's just strange wallpaper. I don't know why it's there. That's not Samsung's wallpaper. They do have themes on this. It's got a lot of. This is from T-Mobile, so it's got some T-Mobile stuff. It's got a lot of Samsung-y stuff. Although, I don't find it offensive. It also has. This is like the Google Now launcher. You swipe to the right, you get Google Now on HTC Sense. You get Blink. Well, Samsung's doing that now too. Only it's a special version of Flipboard, which actually is pretty nice. And it also demonstrates how fast the processor is because I can scroll this puppy like nobody's business. And once you start reading stuff, it does a lot of. You see those little special effects and things like that. I'm actually kind of fond of it. This phone is 577 dots per inch, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks like a sticker. It looks like a poster. It looks so good. Let me just. I'm using I love the 500 PX wallpaper app. So I just pull in at random new wallpaper every 30 minutes. The camera is, I think, going to be the real selling point on this. They've made it. If you're used to the Samsung cameras, they've made it a little more subtle. They used to have these big pictures and stuff. Now it's just very simple. The different kinds of cameras. They've cleaned it up a little bit. It's Lollipop. It's Android 5.02. But you don't see. I mean, it's this bugs the heck out of me. S Finder and Quick Connect. You can't. I don't know why when you do the pull down to get notifications, you can't get rid of that. It drives me crazy. I don't even know what they do, and I don't want to use them. But it takes up all that real estate. On the other hand, I love the quick launcher, and you can customize that, and that's kind of nice. It's just not. It's not Lollipop. If you want Lollipop, though, besides the Nexus 6, I think the new Oxygen OS on the OnePlus is very pure Lollipop. Both Jason and I have put it on our OnePlus One. Are you still using the OnePlus? No, you went to the Nexus 6, didn't you?
Yeah, Nexus 6 is my current jam.
And you too, Jeff?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you already have a nice, clean Lollipop experience. It's such a big phone, though. This is so elegant. So elegant.
iFixit gave the S6 Edge a 3 out of 10 on repairability. Yeah. For obvious reasons.
Nowadays, who cares? Right? Did you? Okay, so your Nexus 6, which I'm sure is very repairable. What did you do when the screen broke?
Well, yeah, no, hey, fair point.
Did you repair it?
Not myself. I'm not going to do that.
You got a new one.
I didn't got time for that.
You got a new one.
Yeah, exactly. I contacted Motorola, got a new one. Had to pay for it, but that's all right.
That's what people do.
Yeah.
My only concern at all, because in every respect, this is the most elegant, beautiful. It just feels nice. It looks nice. It's snappy. It works well. Gorgeous camera. Might be the best, arguably the best camera on the market. Certainly the best Android camera out. But the battery life could be make it or break it. So, but I've been really happy with this. There is a fair bump for it's so thin. There's a fair size bump for the camera on the back, but we're seeing that more and more now. Some people are wondering whether they should buy the Edge or the regular. You don't get much extra functionality with the Edge. There is kind of a cool thing you do with the Edge, which is if I slide it in, you can assign colors to up to 5 people in your life. And if you get a message or a call from them, and this is face down, it will glow with that color to let you know that
whoop-de-doo-dah.
Whoop-de-doo-dah. And then there's a night mode, which will show the time and weather and date on the side here on the left or the right side. So since it does come with both Qi and PowerMat wireless charging, I have it in a little wireless charging cradle. So that's kind of nice. I can look over and see the time. Not a big functional thing, frankly. So I think it's more aesthetics. I like the aesthetics of it. Although it's so weird because we're used to curved backs and flat fronts that I have not yet conditioned myself to realize this is the back and that the curved thing is actually the front. So, but that's my tool of the week. I'm actually pretty excited about it. I'm enjoying. This is the Samsung Galaxy S6. I bought it from T-Mobile, but of course, I think all the companies are carrying it, and we'll have it soon.
Do you buy it on unlocked?
Normally what I do is I don't buy it from it. This is the first phone I bought in years from a carrier.
That's why I'm asking, yeah.
Yeah, usually I just buy an unlocked version. But what's happening with Samsung when you get an unlocked version on like Expansys or somewhere is like my Note 4 is the Hong Kong model.
Oh.
So I thought, you know what, I should get a U.S. model. Let's just try it. And, you know, I'm a T-Mobile. I'm a customer of all of them. So T-Mobile's my preferred carrier. So. Yeah, now there's a strange baby on the phone. I don't know. I love this wallpaper, though. This 500px wallpaper is awesome. It's Coach wrote it. Isn't that cute? You get to pick which categories on 500px you want, and then it changes it every whatever you want, 5 minutes, hour. Really fast, really nice. But I'm a little nervous about battery life. I'll tell you what's the one way they've handled that. It does support fast charging. I was able to charge the phone to 50% from 0 to 50% last night in half an hour, and fully charged in under an hour. So that's one way to get around it. But you need the fast charging capability, and that you cannot get that on a battery, as far as I know. Not yet, anyway. Jeff, you got a number?
Let's go with this one. So Business Insider merely speculated, but what the hell, it's what we do in journalism now, that if Apple does drop Google from its default search position, they then speculated that Google would no longer have to split revenue with Apple. So they did some figuring, and they figured if 50% of the users stuck with Google, which would be, I think, a conservative estimate of how many would, Google would actually earn $1.2 billion more in revenue by being dropped from Apple and dropping Apple's share.
Wow.
Who knows what the truth of it is, but I found it interesting that the way the economics could work in this case.
I don't think that's true. I don't believe that, because the reason Google spends the money, $1.2 billion, and sends it to Apple is I would guess a percentage of the money they make with those.
Right, but it says they get to keep that percentage.
Yeah, but they're losing whatever it is 4 or 5 times more than that in revenue. It's like saying, oh, this is great. If I don't use a realtor, I will save a lot of money, but you also don't get to buy the house.
Matt, help me out with the math here.
Isn't the money that Google pays to Apple a percentage of the overall traffic Apple brings to Google, the overall revenue?
You could certainly do it that way, but imagine that Apple leaves Google, and now Google's not paying that large amount of money, and now Google makes its case to all the users of Apple devices
to change it back
to Firefox users when Firefox switched to Yahoo.
Right, that's the point.
To change it back. If those users change it back, now we get to keep the money from all those ads without paying anything.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, exactly. but that's a big if.
Mathematics could be, yeah.
That's a big if. Remember the tyranny of the default. People never change their default search.
Google's Google, though.
Yeah. I would change it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So that's the key. Sure. It just depends.
I'm sure there's a lot of people on,
And nobody's telling anybody the actual numbers, so we just have to guess.
Not. So it's just Business Insider speculating.
There's no question though. Google is making a point, because when you do I can't remember when it comes up, but when you do a Google search, they pop up. Oh, we noticed that we're not the default search on your browser. Would you like to change that?
Right.
And it's important to do that not so often. You don't want to annoy users, but a lot of the times, if somebody's a Firefox user and all of a sudden they're searching on Yahoo and they don't know why,
right?
Letting people know, hey, if you want to come back to Google, here's a simple way to do it. Might make it easier for them.
I guess the real question is how many people would notice the difference and hate Bing and Yahoo so much that they say, oh, God, what's gone wrong? I need to get back to Google search. They look a lot alike. I bet you half of the people don't notice it. There's a reason. There's a reason Internet Explorer was the dominant browser for so long.
But I also think there's probably a lot of people at Apple and at Bing and at Yahoo and at Google who are doing all this analysis and trying to figure it out. I think one benefit from Firefox switching to Yahoo, I like competition and I like diversity in the search space, and that lets everybody try out different options. But it also probably gives Google a little bit of insight about what percentage of people would switch back and all those sorts of things.
Right. Having had that happen once, now they know maybe how many people stick with the default, how many people will switch back, and then they can make. Then they have what it is you need the information so you can negotiate a fair price in future going forward.
Yep.
So I don't know if Business Insider knows any more than we do on this.
No, they don't. They're just speculating. But hey,
well, there's some point where there's some percentage of people that will go back to Google that will make it worthwhile.
Yes.
We just don't know what that is. Mr. Money Mustache, Matt Cutts, his pick of the week.
Yeah, so at the top of the show, we were talking a little bit about, just trying to make great content and you will succeed and not thinking that much about SEO. And so I wanted to highlight a website that I've been just really enjoying the last few months or so called Mr. Money Mustache. It's at MrMoneyMustache.com.
Highlighting that a good name is very important.
Yes, it's very brandable. And so he's basically a tech worker. He's worked at tech companies, but he saved a ton of his money, a large percentage of his take-home money, and he's early retired. And so now he's got financial independence. He can do what he wants. But he's got a whole philosophy, and the philosophy is stuff like move closer to your work so that you can commute with like a bike instead of with a car or a second car, and learn new hobbies like woodworking or plumbing or working around the house to save you money. And then that not only saves you money, but you also get good exercise. So he's got a whole philosophy about you can take the money that you would use when you early retired and use that to make the world better. And for anybody who's ever been like, oh, I should save more than 10% of my paycheck or anything like that, it's like a little bit of personal finance, but more about trying to emphasize all the fun things you could do if you were to learn a few new skills or not just sit and watch TV every single hour of the night. That sort of stuff.
I love this one, muscle over motor. If you just mow your own lawn, blow your own leaves, walk instead of ride a Segway, you won't need that expensive gym membership. Ain't it the truth? This is good. Yeah. So, and what is the SEO lesson to be learned here?
I think the SEO lesson is this is a guy who started in like 2011, 2012, and has built a very profitable sort of business on the side, although he's already financially independent. And all he's done is tried to provide the best advice, no nonsense that he can. And there's been a couple times where somebody has come to him as an advertiser and said, hey, can you tone down this post or take out these curse words or something? And he's like, no, the whole point is that, by being a little financially independent, I'm able to turn down those things so that I keep my voice. I'm the master of my destiny. And he's got a forum. It's like a whole thing. It's like, as a hobby, it would be a lot better for you to get into this sort of stuff because you'd be biking to the store and that sort of thing instead of, a lot of other different ideas.
I love it that the ad banner, instead of being at the top, where we ignore it anyway, is at the bottom. That's fine with me.
Forbes just redesigned its site and got rid of the they still have a banner, but they got rid of all the other stuff at the top. If you just go to a story page, after you get through that,
you still have this, and now they're doing a countdown, which was
so just pick a story.
Clunky apps hold back Apple Watch. Everybody, is oh yeah. Well, so see, there's this big ad,
but they got rid of navigation on the top. I think
no. It's here.
No, they didn't. No. Yeah. Well, maybe I'm the wrong page.
I'm very aware of all this now because we're in the midst of a redesign, and it's tough to balance. You always want to make the site to be the most welcoming to users, but it's hard to know what's the best way to do that. And it's actually a great thought experiment. And we don't have the luxury of being able to do a lot of A/B testing and stuff like that. So I'm just going to trust my gut.
I'm putting it in right now in the chat. Oh, I got it. I just got the Gap ad.
Okay, don't do anything.
Disable notifications from D2I4NXEJANHW0H.cloudfront.net.
Oh, CloudFront's an advertising agency.
Allow. So
Matt's loving this.
Okay, we found
How
them.
did I get it, though?
Yes.
We began the show with a conundrum.
Yeah, okay.
We'll end it.
I lost it.
Still dead.
How do I get that back? I lost
Just rewind the tape.
I lost it, Matt.
Jet Chef Jarvis has some work to do, and we'll let him go do that.
How do I do that? How do I get that back? There's a disable notifications thing from. How do I get that back?
CloudFront is the key. not the big numbers at the beginning. It's cloudfront.net. That's what you want to know about.
So where do I go?
So you go to setting. I don't know if you can disable them.
Down.
Settings. It's in the advanced at the the second page, and it's under web. Content. What is it? Privacy.
Advanced
There was a nice thing that said
Content
disable notifications
settings.
from. Content settings.
Content
yes.
settings. Pop-ups. Now, what I would do is do not allow
I
any
have no
sites.
exceptions.
Oh, not
I have no
pop-ups. It's notifications. I'm sorry. Allow
That's
sites.
the one where it won't let you do anything.
Do not allow. Well, just click that. Do not allow any site.
I already did, and there's a whole bunch that are there, and it won't let me change it.
So you can't delete these.
I can't. There it is. I found it. You're right, and it just is in there as an allow.
Oh, wait a
and
minute.
won't let
Click
me
it.
delete.
Wait a minute. I got it for you. Click it. You'll see there's an X on the right.
No, there's not here. That's
What?
Mine doesn't have that.
Oh, yeah. See, the ones that are in italics have no X's.
Exactly. How
But the
does
ones
that
are, because these are special.
Bug.
Most of them are from Google. It's not a bug. But why am I getting game-socaban.com allow? And it's asked. Let's learn more.
Right. I've got Amazon. I have flashcards, HubSpot, WordPress, Hootsuite.
What are these? Okay, Google. So whoever's watching at Google, if they're still here, what are these italicized ones? And why can't we delete the italicized ones?
Oh, we got it. We got you.
We can delete the unitalicized ones. You get an X.
But these are somehow they've gotten themselves protected.
Power wash. Power wash.
But then,
Power.
But no, Matt. Then the same thing was happening on
it'll
my.
sync from some other one.
It syncs.
Do notifications get synchronized?
Hmm.
Notification settings? They may not. They shouldn't, because you would want different notification settings perhaps on different machines.
Wait a second. I want to see it. I'm going to go into my. Now that since I have two machines.
So what that is, and we should explain, is one of your extensions or apps is monetizing using CloudFront.
Yes.
And so what you really want to do is find out which app is using that.
And it's not PowerWash won't do it, Matt, because it did sync it to the Chrome on my other machine.
So I still think you have not a rogue extension, but you have
something's wrong.
An unfriendly extension that is using notifications to pop up ads. And I think you want to find that extension by deleting everything.
But it's doing something. But it's doing something more. It's doing something to the notifications exceptions, and it's making them exceptions to exceptions.
It may be that those italicized notifications are driven by extensions, for instance, and you can't. They're not by websites.
But Cloud Convert, whatever the heck. Oh, I used that one, yeah. But CloudFront, it somehow got in here, and I can't. Set by app, popular on Netflix.
Oh, CloudFront's a CDN. CloudFront is Amazon, not an advertising agency. It's a CDN.
And it was set by popular on Netflix, so it managed to sneak in that way. I hope there's some good CSI Googlers right now.
So apparently the italicized exception, the italicized notifications can't be deleted because they're associated with apps, not extensions. So there's this new thing called apps, Chrome apps. So see if you have a Chrome app.
So I've got apps. I got to go through and kill them. Remember we talked about that last week, where I go through every once in a while and kill them.
Yeah.
But
and
the fact that it came in through, it says here, it came in through Netflix. Now the weird thing about Netflix is when I tried to put the Netflix app back on, it didn't actually create an app. It was just a redirect to a web page for Netflix now on Chrome. There used to be
CloudFront is part of AWS. It's their CDN. But it said Netflix. Well, then I think you...
Right.
Apparently
it's actually a different address at CloudFront than the one I just read out.
Oh, you're not doing popular on Netflix, are you?
So,
why do you say that?
Are you? Is this the one you're doing? This is not from Netflix. You know that, right?
Did I mess that up? No, I didn't do that.
See if you have. There are several extensions that will do things like, say, stuff that's leaving Netflix.
No, I see. I have an actual Netflix one, and but it goes to Netflix.com. Yeah. That could be how it did it.
I don't know. We'll know soon.
Yeah. You might want to check not just the extension.
I have popular on Netflix. Yep.
So
delete popular on Netflix.
It's there.
Delete popular on Netflix. You don't need that.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
Remove from Chrome.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, once I've done that,
you should never see it again.
You sure it's not going to clean it up?
You're never going to see it again. Sometime I want to go through all of our extensions. Do you have any favorite extensions that you use on your Chromebook, Matt?
I do have a few. Let me see what extensions I've got. Oh boy, there's a few there's one that I've written by hand.
He writes his own extensions.
Oh my goodness. Well, I use Facebook. Well, there was one. It turns out you can actually run a Chrome extension off of GitHub, so you can like download something off of GitHub, unpack it into a directory, change like 3 lines. All I did.
That's cool.
And then run that extension, from your local download.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it is. Like I found something that takes Twitter usernames and makes them links to the Twitter username, which is kind of fun. I think I wrote a blog post about it.
I want that. Okay, I'm going to find your blog post. That's great.
Disconnect. And let's see. Something that makes Hacker News where it's all red, so that you can keep track of what you've seen on Hacker News.
I love Hacker News. That's become my product hunt. My version of product hunt is Hacker News. I think it's news.ycombinator.com. It's really great because it has upvoting. So it's like Reddit, but it's Reddit for really smart people. So the #1 story on Hacker News right now is announcing Git large file storage. For a while, people were trying to game Hacker News, and it was kind of junky, and I think they realized nobody cares. #2 is Microsoft announces Hyper-V containers. But the third one is the one I was talking about. That's probably where I found it. I quit. What really goes on at Apple? It was that blog post about how life at Apple was so challenging. Hacker News is so good.
Oh, it's amazing.
I love it.
By the way, user reviews for popular on Netflix. One says it adds advertisement pop-ups in the Google desktop notifications. Will not let it. Yeah, I think you found it.
Good work, detectives. Good work.
Hot dog.
Hot dog.
Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, how about this? Teaching Haskell to a 10-year-old, day 1. I found a great site on Y Combinator on news called howistart.org. It's kind of geeky. It's a bunch of coders, most of them very well known, who work in various programming languages, how they start a new project. So Peter Borgon, who is a Go evangelist and SoundCloud engineer, talks about what you should do, how he starts every new project in Go. It's awesome. And then there's some of them are really fun. The one I like is Fred Hebert, who wrote the most amazing programming book ever, Learn You Some Erlang for Great Good. And I don't know if anybody's interested in Erlang, but it's fun because the project is a Homer Simpson's nuclear power remote control simulator. So if you want to blow up Springfield, this is for you. And in the process, you learn how somebody who's truly an expert in the language, in this case Haskell, has figured, it works. It's amazing how many people code in Vim. It's like, why? Come on.
Gives you vigor.
Gives you vigor. Vim and vigor.
Woo.
Are you a Vim guy?
I'm a Vimmer. I'm a Vimmer. I'm totally a VI Vim guy. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you do anything but different? Like that's all you need.
Fred is also a Vimmer. He says he says use the text editor of your choice. Mine is Vim because I'm a terrible person. You too, Matt Cutts. You know what my project is to this last couple of weeks is learn Emacs. It's going to take me years. But I always used Vim, but I want something a little I know, crazy, right? Just fun, you know, keeps the mind
You didn't have enough carpal tunnel syndrome in your life?
It's all keystrokes, man. But you can do anything. It's like running a nuclear power plant with meta keys. All right, everybody, we should wrap this up. It's so much fun, but I think we got to let everybody go. Jeff Jarvis is at the City University of New York. His blog is buzzmachine.com. His books are legion, and he blesses us every week, and we just love it. Thank you for being here.
So I got to give a quick shout out. I was doing this event for Quartz magazine, which we quoted on the show twice today, by the way, in Nashville only yesterday. And Monday night they had the party because it's a sales conference at the big brewery in town. And the big guy behind the bar, I recognize this now. He looks at me again, and he says, "Are you Jeff Jarvis?" So I want to give a shout out to our fan Lucas Hendrickson, a Twit and Twig fan,
and a bartender.
And a bartender. It happens everywhere. Everywhere.
I love it.
So it's the power of Leo, as we always agree.
No, it's not me. It's you.
Yeah,
it's you. It's not me. It's you.
Oh, it's you. It's you.
Thank you, Jeff. I saw that tweet. No, it's Matt. It's Matt. Matt does have the best laugh ever. Matt Cutts, we love you.
Thanks so much for having me on. I just wanted to say very quickly, I've had at least 2 people come up to me and say, "Hey, I really love you on This Week in Google." So it's really fantastic to get a little ego pat on the back that way as well. So I've experienced what Jeff has talked about. So
that's impressive, given that you're one of the first 100 Googlers and all that stuff. Anyway, we love you, Matt. Keep up the great work, and I'm so glad you didn't go to work for that SEO.
Thanks for having me.
All right. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday about 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. That's 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's 2000 UTC. I hope you'll tune in and watch live. We love it if you do. You can be in the chat room and we can interact with you. But if you can't, don't worry, because we do make on-demand audio and video available after the fact at twit.tv/twig, youtube.com/thisweekingoogle, and, of course, wherever you get your podcasts, your favorite podcast app on your favorite device, or like iTunes or the Zune or whatever it's called, Xbox Store. I think I use I want to see Pocket Cast now on Android. That's the one I use. In any event, we also have great apps on all of the platforms thanks to our community of third-party developers. We don't do it. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.